When waitress Zara Patel tries to give basketball legend Michael Jordan some privacy during his meal at Sunrise Diner, she never expects it will cost her the job she desperately needs. But after being fired for breaking the rules, Zara receives a mysterious call offering her the manager position at the very same diner. How did a simple act of kindness turn her life upside down overnight? And why would someone as famous as Michael Jordan go to such lengths to help a waitress he barely knows? Zara Patel wiped sweat from her forehead as she balanced 3 plates on her left arm. The Sunrise Diner hummed with the usual Tuesday dinner crowd. The smell of fried onions and burger patties filled the air, mixing with the sweet scent of apple pie cooling near the kitchen window. "Order up for table 7, called Hector, the cook who had worked at Sunrise Diner longer than anyone else. "Got it," Zara called back, her voice cheerful despite having been on her feet for nearly 10 hours. At 28, Zara had mastered the art of the perfect waitress smile. It was the kind of smile that made customers feel welcome without inviting too much conversation when the diner was slammed. And today, like most days, Sunrise Diner was definitely slammed. As she delivered the steaming plates to a family of 4, Zara felt eyes on her back. She didn't need to turn around to know it was Vernon, the floor manager, watching her every move. Vernon had taken over 6 months ago, and since day 1, he'd made it clear that he ran a tight ship. "The ketchup bottle is nearly empty," Vernon said, appearing beside her as she finished setting down the plates. "And table 3 has been waiting for their check for 4 minutes." Zara nodded. "I'll take care of it right away." As Vernon walked away, Zara heard one of her regular customers whisper, "That man needs to lighten up." Zara just smiled and shrugged. She couldn't afford to complain about Vernon, not when her younger brother Raj depended on her. At 19, Raj was in his first year of college, studying computer science on a partial scholarship. The rest of his tuition, plus books and living expenses, came from Zara's tips and paycheck. Their parents had passed away 3 years ago in a car accident, leaving Zara to care for her brother. She'd put her own dreams of opening a small bookstore on hold. "Miss, can we get some more coffee?" called a voice from table 9. The next 3 hours passed in a blur of coffee refills, burger orders, and Vernon's constant corrections. By 9:30 p.m., the dinner rush had finally slowed. Only a few tables remained, occupied. Zara's feet ached, and she longed to sit down, but she still had closing duties ahead of her. "You can go on break," said Meg, another waitress who had worked at Sunrise for 5 years. "I'll cover your section." "You're a lifesaver," Zara said, gratefully sinking onto a chair in the break room. She pulled out her phone and saw a text from Raj. "Aced my coding test. Professor says I have natural talent. Might qualify for the coding competition next month." Zara smiled, her exhaustion momentarily forgotten. This was why she worked double shifts and put up with Vernon's micromanaging. Her brother's success made it all worthwhile. After a quick 10-minute break, Zara returned to the floor. The diner had emptied out even more. Only an elderly couple remained in Meg's section, and a businessman typing on his laptop sat in Zara's area. "I'm going to start on the closing checklist," Vernon announced, handing Zara a rag. "Wipe down all the tables in your section, even the empty ones. They're spotty." Zara bit back a sigh. The tables looked fine to her, but arguing with Vernon never ended well. As the clock neared 10 p.m., the elderly couple paid their bill and left. The businessman closed his laptop and followed shortly after. The diner stood empty, and outside, rain had started to fall, drumming against the large front windows. 30 minutes till closing, Vernon called from the back office. Make sure the sugar dispensers are filled before you go. Zara nodded, though Vernon couldn't see her. As she filled the sugar dispensers, the bell above the front door chimed. She looked up, ready to explain they were closing soon. A tall man, in a baseball cap and jacket, stepped in, shaking raindrops from his shoulders. He glanced around the empty diner, then slid into a booth in Zara's section. His cap was pulled low, but something about the way he carried himself made Zara pause. "Hi, there," she said, approaching with a menu. "Just so you know, our kitchen closes in 20 minutes. The man looked up, and though his face was partially shadowed by his cap, Zara caught a glimpse of his profile. Her heart skipped a beat. No way, she thought. It couldn't be. "That's fine," the man said in a deep, smooth voice that confirmed her suspicion. "I just need a quiet place and a good meal." It was him, Michael Jordan, the basketball legend. Here, in their small diner on a rainy Tuesday night. Zara managed to keep her professional smile in place, though her hands trembled slightly as she handed him the menu. "Take your time," she said, trying to sound normal. "Can I get you something to drink while you decide?" "Just water for now," he replied, glancing over the menu. As Zara walked to the water station, her mind raced. Should she tell Vernon? Ask for an autograph? No, she decided. Michael Jordan had come here late, wearing a cap pulled low. He, clearly, wanted privacy, not attention. When she returned with his water, she noticed his posture had relaxed slightly. He seemed relieved she hadn't made a fuss. "Ready to order?" she asked. "What's good here?" Michael asked, his famous smile briefly appearing. "The classic burger is our specialty," Zara answered honestly. "Hector, our cook, adds special seasonings to the meat. But if you want something healthier, the grilled chicken sandwich is my personal favorite." Michael nodded. "I'll go with the chicken sandwich, extra tomatoes, no mayo." "Good choice," Zara said, writing down the order. As she turned to head to the kitchen, she spotted movement outside the diner's front windows. A group of teenage boys had paused on the sidewalk, peering in through the rain-streaked glass. One of them pointed excitedly, his mouth forming words Zara couldn't hear, but she could guess what he was saying. "That's Michael Jordan." Zara glanced back at Michael, who had also noticed the boys outside. For a moment, his shoulders tensed. In his eyes, Zara saw something that surprised her. Weariness, the look of someone who sometimes just wanted to eat a meal in peace. In that moment, Zara made a decision that would change her life forever. She didn't know it yet, but this simple choice, born of empathy for a tired man who happened to be famous, would set in motion events she could never have imagined. Zara hurried over to the windows and quietly lowered the blinds. She then grabbed 3 reserved signs from behind the counter and placed them on the tables surrounding Michael Jordan's booth. When she returned to the kitchen to place his order, Hector raised an eyebrow. "Is that who I think it is out there?" he whispered. Zara nodded slightly. "But I think he just wants some peace tonight." Hector's eyes widened, but he gave a quick nod of understanding as he took the order slip. Just as Zara had feared, the bell above the door chimed. The group of teenage boys, 5 of them, all wearing basketball jerseys, entered the diner, their eyes scanning excitedly. "Welcome to Sunrise Diner," Zara said, stepping in front of them with menus. "Table for 5? We've got a nice spot over here." She led them to the opposite side of the diner, far from where Michael sat. The boys craned their necks, trying to see around her. "Is that?" one of them started to ask. "Our special tonight is the double cheeseburger with seasoned fries," Zara cut in smoothly. "Can I get you something to drink while you decide?" From the corner of her eye, Zara saw Michael give her a small nod of thanks. The boys, though clearly curious, were too polite to make a scene after Zara seated them. They ordered sodas and burgers, occasionally stealing glances across the diner. Vernon emerged from the office with his coat on. "I'm heading out early. Lock up properly," he instructed Zara. He glanced at Michael's table but didn't seem to recognize him with the cap pulled low. "Will do," Zara replied, relieved that Vernon was leaving. When Zara brought Michael's sandwich, he looked up with a grateful smile. "Thank you," he said quietly. "Not just for the food." Zara smiled. "No problem. Sometimes everyone needs a quiet moment." Michael nodded. "That's exactly right." He took a bite of his sandwich. "This is good. You were right about the recommendation." Zara couldn't help feeling a small thrill that Michael Jordan was enjoying food she'd recommended. "Can I get you anything else?" she asked. "This is perfect," he replied. Then, after a moment's hesitation, he added, "You know, not everyone would have done what you did." Zara shrugged. "I just treated you how I'd want to be treated." Michael seemed to appreciate this answer. "Been working here long?" "Almost 4 years," Zara said. "It helps pay for my brother's college. He's studying computer science." "That's admirable," Michael said. "He's lucky to have you." "He's a good kid," Zara replied. "Actually, he's basketball crazy, plays on the college club team. He's been saving for this elite basketball camp this summer, but..." She trailed off, realizing she was oversharing. "But it's expensive," Michael finished for her. Zara nodded. "Very, but he'll get there eventually." When the teenagers finished their meal, they lingered, clearly hoping to approach Michael. Seeing this, Zara brought their check quickly. "Thanks for coming in, guys. We're closing in 5 minutes," she said, even though they actually had 15 minutes until closing time. As the boys reluctantly paid and left, Zara approached Michael again. "They're gone now. Would you like a slice of apple pie? On the house." Michael smiled but shook his head. "I appreciate it, but I should get going. Is there a back exit I could use?" "Of course," Zara said. She led him through the kitchen, past a wide-eyed Hector, to the service door that opened onto the alley. "Thanks for everything, Zara," Michael said, reading her name tag. He reached into his wallet and handed her some bills. The meal was perfect. "It was my pleasure, Mr. Jordan," Zara said, finally acknowledging that she knew who he was. He smiled. "Michael, please." After he left, Zara looked down at the money in her hand. Her eyes widened. He'd given her a $100 bill as a tip for a $12 sandwich. As she cleaned the diner and prepared to close up, Zara couldn't help smiling. Wait until she told Raj about this. She tucked the $100 bill safely into her purse, thinking maybe her brother's basketball camp fund just got a nice boost. Little did she know that her small act of kindness would soon cost her the job she depended on and open doors she never imagined possible. Zara arrived at work the next morning feeling surprisingly cheerful. She had told Raj about a serving Michael Jordan, though she kept the huge tip a secret, planning to surprise him with it later. Her brother had peppered her with questions about the basketball legend, his eyes wide with excitement. "Good morning," she called as she entered through the back door of the diner. Hector was already at the grill, preparing for the breakfast rush. "Morning," he replied, but his usual smile was missing. He glanced toward the office, then back at Zara with concern in his eyes. "Vernon's been asking about last night." Zara's good mood dimmed slightly. "What do you mean?" Before Hector could answer, Vernon's sharp voice cut through the kitchen. "Zara, my office, now!" With a worried look at Hector, Zara made her way to the small office at the back of the diner. Vernon sat behind the desk, his face stern. "Close. The door," he ordered. Zara did as she was told, her stomach tightening with anxiety. "I got a very interesting phone call this morning," Vernon began, tapping his fingers on the desk. "From a customer who was here last night." Zara remained silent, unsure which customer he meant. "He said you refused to seat him and his friends in most of the empty diner. Said you put up reserved signs on perfectly good tables. Said you rushed them out before closing time." Vernon's voice grew harder with each accusation. "He also said you were giving special treatment to some man in a baseball cap. Care to explain?" Zara took a deep breath. "That man was Michael Jordan. He clearly wanted privacy. So I—" "Michael Jordan?" Vernon interrupted with a harsh laugh. "You expect me to believe that? Michael Jordan doesn't eat at places like this." "It really was him," Zara insisted. "Ask Hector. He saw him too." "Oh, I did ask Hector. He said he couldn't see the customer's face clearly from the kitchen." Vernon leaned forward. "So you're telling me you closed off half my diner and turned away customers for some random guy you thought was Michael Jordan?" "I didn't turn them away," Zara explained. "I seated them on the other side." "You cost this business money," Vernon cut in again. "Those boys said they would have ordered dessert if you hadn't rushed them out." "I was just trying to what? Play favorites? Decide which customers deserve better treatment?" Vernon stood up, his face flushed with anger. "That's not your job, Zara. Your job is to serve everyone equally and to maximize business. Instead, you made decisions that weren't yours to make." Zara felt her eyes burning with tears, but she blinked them back. "I'm sorry if I made a mistake, but I really was just trying to help a customer who wanted some privacy." "Well, your help has consequences." Vernon pulled a form from his desk drawer. "I've been watching you for a while now. You're constantly chatting with customers instead of turning tables quickly. You give out free refills without checking with me first. And now this." With a sick feeling in her stomach, Zara realized what was happening. "I'm terminating your employment, effective immediately." Vernon pushed the form toward her. "Sign here." "You're firing me." Zara's voice came out as a whisper. "Over this? I'm firing you for repeatedly ignoring diner policy and making decisions above your pay grade." Vernon held out a pen. "Sign it." Zara's hand trembled as she took the pen. "Please, Vernon, I need this job. My brother should have been your motivation to follow the rules," Vernon finished coldly. "Sign the form, clean out your locker, and you can pick up your final check next week." With tears now freely running down her cheeks, Zara signed the termination form. Her mind raced with panic. How would she pay Raj's tuition? Their rent? The bills that were already piling up? "You can use the back door," Vernon said dismissively. "I don't want you upsetting the customers." In a daze, Zara walked to her locker. She could feel the stares of her co-workers as she emptied the small, metal box of her few belongings, a spare hairband, a toothbrush, a sweater for cold nights. Meg approached her, concern written across her face. "What happened?" "I got fired," Zara whispered, the reality of it hitting her fully. "For helping Michael Jordan have a quiet dinner." "That was really Michael Jordan?" Meg asked, her eyes wide. Zara nodded, too upset to explain further. "Vernon's being ridiculous," Meg said angrily. "We should all quit in protest." Despite her misery, Zara managed a small smile. "Don't do that. You need your job too." With her things stuffed into her backpack, Zara hugged Meg goodbye and slipped out the back door. The morning sun felt mockingly bright as she began the long walk home, her mind spinning with worries about the future. 4 years of loyal service ended because she'd shown kindness to a customer who happened to be famous. It wasn't fair, but life rarely was. What Zara didn't know was that across town, a phone was ringing. A call that would change her fortune in ways she couldn't begin to imagine. 3 days had passed since Vernon fired Zara. 3 days of scanning, job listings, filling out applications, and trying to hide her worry from Raj. She had enough savings to cover next month's rent and bills, but after that, things would get tight. On the morning of the 4th day, Zara sat at their small kitchen table, circling possible jobs in the newspaper. None paid as well as waitressing at Sunrise Diner, especially with the tips she had built up from regular customers over the years. Raj entered the kitchen, yawning and heading straight for the cereal box. "Any luck?" he asked, pouring himself a bowl. "A few possibilities," Zara said with forced cheerfulness. "The cafe near campus is hiring, and there's a diner across town that needs evening staff." Raj frowned. "The one that's a 40-minute bus ride away?" "Sis, that's too far. We can't be picky right now," Zara reminded him gently. The phone rang, interrupting their conversation. Zara picked it up, expecting it to be one of the places she had applied to. "Hello? Is this Zara Patel?" asked a woman's voice. It was unfamiliar, clear, and confident. "Yes, this is Zara. My name is Diane Reynolds. I own Sunrise Diner." Zara's heart skipped a beat. In almost 4 years of working at the diner, she had never met the owner. Vernon always said Ms. Reynolds lived in another state and left the diner's operation entirely in his hands. "Oh," Zara managed to say, wondering if this was about her final paycheck. "I'd like to meet with you," Diane continued. "Are you available to come to the diner tomorrow? Morning around 10? Before the lunch rush." Zara hesitated. Was this some kind of trap? Would Vernon be there to yell at her again? "May I ask what this is about?" she asked cautiously. There was a brief pause. "Let's just say I've heard some interesting things about your time at Sunrise. I'd like to discuss them with you in person." Zara's palms felt sweaty. Maybe some of the regular customers had complained about her sudden disappearance, or maybe Meg had said something to defend her. "I'll be there," she agreed finally. "Wonderful. I'll see you tomorrow at 10. Ask for me at the counter." After hanging up, Zara stared at the phone in confusion. "Who was that?" Raj asked through a mouthful of cereal. "The owner of Sunrise Diner. She wants to meet with me tomorrow." Raj's eyebrows shot up. "Whoa, maybe she's going to offer your job back." "I doubt it," Zara said, though a tiny spark of hope flickered in her chest. Vernon made it pretty clear I was done there. "Well, Vernon's not the owner, is he? Raj pointed out. Maybe she heard what happened and thinks it's unfair. Maybe, Zara said, not wanting to get her hopes up. That night, Zara could barely sleep. She tossed and turned, imagining all the possible reasons. Diane Reynolds might want to see her. By morning, she had dark circles under her eyes, which she tried to cover with makeup. She chose her outfit carefully. Black pants, a light blue blouse, and sensible shoes. Professional, but not too formal. Her hair was pulled back in a neat ponytail, and she wore only a touch of lipstick. "You look great," Raj assured her as she fretted in front of the mirror. "Like management material." Zara laughed, though it came out sounding nervous. "Let's not get ahead of ourselves. She probably just wants my side of the story before confirming my firing." The bus ride to Sunrise Diner felt both familiar and strange. Zara had made this trip nearly every day for years, but never with such uncertainty about what awaited her. When she walked through the front door of the diner at exactly 10 o'clock, the breakfast rush had died down. A few customers lingered over coffee. Meg was wiping down a table and looked up in surprise when she saw Zara. "Zara, what are you doing here?" She hurried over, lowering her voice. "Vernon will flip if he sees you." "I'm meeting with Diane Reynolds," Zara explained. "Is she here?" Meg's eyes widened. "The owner? She showed up yesterday out of the blue. Vernon's been jumpy ever since." She leaned closer. Between us, they had a closed-door meeting that involved a lot of shouting. Vernon stomped out early and hasn't been back. This information made Zara even more curious. She approached the counter where Hector was visible through the kitchen window. He grinned when he spotted her. "Hey, good to see you," he called. "Diane's in the office. She said to send you straight back when you arrived." With a deep breath, Zara walked through the diner toward the office, Vernon's office. When she knocked on the door, a warm voice called, "Come in." The woman who sat behind the desk looked nothing like Zara had imagined. Diane Reynolds was in her 50s with short silver hair, bright blue eyes, and an athletic build. She wore a simple white shirt and blazer. Most surprising of all was that Vernon's belongings, his framed certificates, his Chicago Bulls mug, his stack of policy binders, were gone. The office looked bare, with only a laptop on the desk. "Zara, thank you for coming." Diane stood and extended her hand. Her handshake was firm. "Please, have a seat." Zara sat down nervously. "Thank you for inviting me, Ms. Reynolds." "Diane, please," the woman corrected with a smile. "I'm sorry we haven't met before. I should have been more present in the diner's operations." Zara wasn't sure how to respond to that, so she remained silent. Diane studied her for a moment. "You're probably wondering why I asked you here." "Yes," Zara admitted. "Vernon no longer works at Sunrise Diner," Diane said bluntly. Zara blinked in surprise. "Oh, and I'd like to offer you his position." The words hung in the air. Zara was certain she had misheard. "I'm sorry, what?" "I'd like you to become the manager of Sunrise Diner," Diane repeated, her eyes twinkling with amusement at Zara's shock. "Starting immediately, if possible." Zara's mouth opened and closed, but no words came out. Finally, she managed to ask, "But why? I mean, I was just fired a few days ago." Diane leaned back in her chair. "Yes, for what I consider a completely ridiculous reason. But even before that incident, I'd been hearing concerns about Vernon's management style from several employees." "You had?" This was news to Zara. "Meg and Hector have my email address for emergencies," Diane explained. Recently, they've been sending some not-so-emergency messages about Vernon's effect on staff morale. Zara hadn't known about this. While she and the other staff had certainly complained to each other about Vernon, she hadn't realized anyone was taking those complaints higher up. "But that doesn't explain why you'd choose me as manager," Zara pointed out. "I have no management experience." Diane smiled mysteriously. "Let's just say a very important customer was impressed by you." Zara's eyes widened. "Michael Jordan? He actually spoke to you about me?" Diane's only response was a wider smile. "So, what do you say? The position comes with a significant pay increase, of course." Zara's head spun with the sudden change in her fortune, from fired to manager in less than a week. "Yes," she found herself saying. "Yes, I accept." "Excellent," Diane stood up. "Now, let's introduce the staff to their new manager." As Zara followed Diane out of the office, still dazed by this unexpected turn of events, she had no idea that this was just the beginning of the surprises in store for her. "Everyone, could I have your attention, please?" Diane called out to the diner staff, the few employees working the morning shift. Meg, Hector, and 2 others gathered around. "I'd like to introduce you to the new manager of Sunrise Diner, Zara Patel." Meg squealed and immediately threw her arms around Zara. Hector beamed with approval, but Zara noticed that Luis, one of the other servers, and Trina, the cashier, exchanged uncertain glances. Zara has shown exceptional customer service skills and genuine care for this diner during her years here, Diane continued. "I'm confident she'll make an excellent manager." After answering a few questions and promising to check in regularly, Diane left Zara with a thick binder labeled Manager's Guide and her business card. "Call me anytime," Diane said warmly. "The first week is always the hardest." As soon as Diane departed, Zara felt the weight of responsibility settle on her shoulders. She was now in charge of the very place where, just days ago, she'd been taking orders and wiping tables. "So, boss," Meg said with a playful smile, "what's our first order of business?" Zara took a deep breath. "First, I need to learn everything about managing this place. Can we all meet after closing tonight? I'd like to hear your thoughts about what's working and what isn't." Meg nodded enthusiastically, but Trina frowned. "Vernon never asked for our opinions." "Well, I'm not Vernon," Zara replied firmly, "and I think the people who work here every day probably have the best ideas for making it better." The morning passed in a blur as Zara tried to absorb as much information as possible. She learned how to work the ordering system, where the supplier contact list was kept, and how to count the register. When the lunch rush hit, she jumped in to help, unable to ignore her waitress instincts. "You don't have to do that anymore," Meg pointed out as Zara refilled a customer's coffee. "You're management now." "I'm still learning," Zara replied. "Besides, I don't mind helping out." By closing time, Zara's head was spinning with new information. Her feet ached from standing all day, and she'd missed lunch entirely. But as she sat down with the staff for their meeting, she felt a surge of determination. "Thanks for staying late," she began, passing around some leftover pie. "I know this change is sudden for all of us. I want to hear your honest thoughts about the diner." For a moment, no one spoke. Then Hector cleared his throat. "The supply ordering system is a mess," he said bluntly. "Vernon would wait until we were completely out of something before ordering more. Last month, we had no maple syrup for 2 days. Trina jumped in next, and the schedule is always posted at the last minute. Makes it hard to plan anything." Once they started, the complaints flowed freely. Vernon had played favorites, ignored maintenance issues, and stubbornly refused to update any procedures. By the time everyone had spoken, Zara had filled 3 pages of notes. "These are all great points," she said. "I can't fix everything at once, but here's what I propose. First, a suggestion box for both staff and customers. Second, I'll post schedules 2 weeks in advance. And third, let's create a proper inventory system so we never run out of supplies." The staff seemed cautiously optimistic, except for Luis, who had remained quiet throughout the meeting. "Luis, any thoughts?" Zara asked directly. He shrugged. "No offense, but Meg has worked here longer than you. Shouldn't she have gotten the manager job?" The question hung awkwardly in the air. Zara glanced at Meg, who looked embarrassed. "That's a fair point," Zara acknowledged. "I didn't ask for this position, and if Diane had chosen Meg, I would have fully supported that decision." "I wouldn't want it," Meg said quickly. "Too much paperwork. I like serving customers." Luis didn't seem entirely convinced, but he nodded. "I just want things to run smoothly." "That's what we all want," Zara agreed. "And I'm going to need everyone's help to make that happen." The next day brought new challenges. A delivery arrived with the wrong items. A customer complained that his eggs were overcooked. The coffee machine began making strange noises. Each problem required Zara's attention, testing her problem-solving skills. By the end of her first week as manager, Zara had made several changes. She'd created AE Chan Customer of the Week program that recognized regular visitors. She'd ordered new uniforms, since the old ones were faded and worn. And she'd arranged for a maintenance worker to fix the leaky faucet in the restroom that Vernon had ignored for months. Not everything went smoothly. She accidentally ordered too many hamburger buns, which Hector pointed out would go stale before they could use them all. She scheduled Luis and Trina for the same shift, not realizing they had requested different days due to sharing childcare duties, and she still struggled with the complex bookkeeping system. On Friday evening, Zara stayed late to tackle the pile of paperwork that had accumulated on her desk. As she worked, she heard a knock on the office door. "Come in," she called, expecting Hector, who was closing that night. Instead, Meg entered, carrying 2 cups of coffee. "Thought you might need this," she said, placing one on the desk. "You've been in here for hours." Zara smiled gratefully. "Thanks. I'm still figuring out Vernon's filing system, if you can call it that." Meg sat down across from her. "You're doing great, you know. Everyone thinks so." "Even Luis?" Zara asked skeptically. "He's coming around," Meg assured her. "Today he said your new inventory checklist was actually a good idea." Zara laughed. "High praise indeed." "Seriously, though," Meg continued, "the diner feels different already. Better. People are smiling. More." "That's good to hear," Zara said. "I keep waiting for Diane to call and tell me there's been a mistake, that I'm not really qualified for this job." "There's no mistake," Meg said confidently. "Besides, I have a theory about why she chose you." "Oh?" Zara raised an eyebrow. "That night with Michael Jordan, you didn't just give good service. You showed good judgment. You protected a customer without making a big deal about it. That's what a good manager does." Zara considered this. "Maybe," she said. "I still wonder if he really did say something to Diane about me." "Guess we'll never know," Meg replied with a shrug. "Unless he comes back someday." As they chatted, Zara realized how much she valued Meg's friendship and support. Without it, this first week would have been even more overwhelming. By the time Zara finally left the diner that night, stars were twinkling in the clear sky. She felt exhausted but satisfied. Despite the challenges, she was beginning to believe she could do this job well. What she didn't realize yet was that someone was watching her progress very closely. Someone who had set these life-changing events in motion with a single phone call. 2 weeks into Zara's new role as manager, Raj burst into the diner during the afternoon lull. His face was flushed with excitement, and he was clutching an envelope in his hand. "Zara, you won't believe what happened," he exclaimed, rushing up to the counter where Zara was updating the specials board. "Slow down," Zara laughed, setting down her marker. "What's going on?" "This came in the mail today." Raj thrust the envelope forward. It was cream-colored and expensive-looking, with a logo Zara recognized immediately. Elite Basketball Academy, the prestigious camp Raj had dreamed of attending, but couldn't afford. "What is it?" she asked, though she could see from his expression it was good news. "I got a scholarship." Raj could barely contain himself. "Full ride to their summer program, room, board, training, everything." Zara's eyes widened. "But how? Did you apply for one?" "That's the crazy part," Raj said, opening the letter for her to read. "I didn't apply for anything. The letter says I was specially selected based on a recommendation." Zara scanned the elegant letterhead and formal language of the letter. Sure enough, it stated that Raj Patel had been awarded a full scholarship to the Elite Basketball Academy's Summer Intensive Program, valued at $5,000. At the bottom was a handwritten note. "For a young man with great potential, recommended by someone who values kindness." Zara's breath caught in her throat. Could it be? The timing seemed too perfect to be like coincidence. Just weeks after she'd mentioned Raj's basketball dreams to Michael Jordan during that fateful dinner service. "This is amazing, Raj," she said, giving her brother a big hug. "When does it start?" "July 1st, he replied excitedly. "That's just 6 weeks away. I'll be training with some of the best coaches in the country. Can you believe it?" As Raj continued explaining all the details, Zara's mind raced. If Michael Jordan was behind this, it meant he hadn't just helped her get this manager position, he'd remembered her brother too. The thought was overwhelming. "Earth to Zara," Raj waved his hand in front of her face. "You zoned out. Are you okay with me being gone for 3 weeks this summer?" "Of course I am," Zara assured him. "This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. You have to go." "I'll need some new basketball shoes," Raj said, his face turning serious. "My old ones are pretty worn out." Zara smiled. "I think we can manage that. The manager's salary is a lot better than what I made as a waitress." After Raj left, promising to share the news with his friends, Zara found herself staring at the scholarship letter again. The phrase, "someone who values kindness," seemed to be a clear message. But why would a basketball legend like Michael Jordan go to such lengths for a waitress who had simply shown him some courtesy? That evening, as Zara worked on the diner's books in her office, Hector knocked on the door. "Hey, boss," he said, using the nickname the staff had started calling her, half-jokingly. "We've got a situation with the grill. Can you come take a look?" The situation turned out to be a surprise celebration. The staff had bought a small cake that read, "Congrats, boss. 2 weeks survived." "You guys," Zara said, touched by the gesture, "you didn't have to do this." "It was Luis's idea," Meg revealed, nudging the usually quiet server. Luis shrugged, looking slightly embarrassed. "The place runs better with you in charge. Those new order pads you got us actually have enough space to write in special requests. Zara laughed. It was such a small thing, but it clearly mattered to the staff. Well, thank you, all of you. I couldn't do this without your help. As they enjoyed the cake, Zara shared the news about Raj's mysterious scholarship. "That's amazing!" Meg exclaimed. "But who would have recommended him?" "I have a theory," Zara said slowly. "Remember that night with Michael Jordan? I mentioned Raj's basketball dreams to him." Hector whistled low. "You think Michael Jordan arranged a scholarship for your brother? That's next level." "It seems crazy," Zara admitted. "But the timing fits, and the note mentioned someone who values kindness. First he gets you this job, now this?" Meg shook her head in wonder. "Maybe he's your guardian angel or something?" The others laughed, but Zara couldn't shake the feeling that these weren't just random coincidences. Something bigger was happening, though she couldn't quite see the full picture yet. Later that night, after closing, Zara stood in the middle of the empty diner, looking around at the space that had become so much more than just her workplace. It was where her life had changed dramatically in just a few short weeks. Whether Michael Jordan was indeed behind these life-changing events or not, Zara was determined to make the most of this unexpected opportunity. She would make the Sunrise Diner the best it could be, for her staff, for the customers, and for herself. With renewed purpose, she turned out the lights and locked up, unaware that the diner was about to undergo even more remarkable changes in the weeks to come. Baruthiu, next morning, Zara arrived at the diner 30 minutes early as usual. She enjoyed these quiet moments before opening, planning the day ahead while sipping her first cup of coffee. As she unlocked the front door, she noticed a delivery truck parked outside. "Morning," called a man in a uniform. "I've got a delivery for Sunrise Diner." "We're not expecting anything today," Zara replied, checking her clipboard. "What is it?" "New equipment," the man said, consulting his tablet. "High-end stuff. Premium grill, commercial mixer, and a state-of-the-art espresso machine." Zara blinked in surprise. "There must be some mistake. We didn't order any of that." The delivery man shrugged. "Orders paid for. Says here it's a diner upgrade package. Just need a signature." Bewildered, Zara called Diane, who sounded equally confused. "I didn't order any new equipment," Diane said. "But if it's paid for and you could use it, we might as well accept it." So Zara signed for the delivery, watching in amazement as 3 men installed a gleaming new grill that made the old one look like a relic. The espresso machine was something she would expect to see in a fancy coffee shop, not a neighborhood diner. When Hector arrived and saw the new equipment, his jaw dropped. "Are we secretly on one of those restaurant makeover shows?" he asked, running his hand reverently over the new grill. By lunchtime, the new equipment was fully installed. Hector claimed the new grill cooked everything more evenly, and Meg was having fun creating fancy coffee drinks with the espresso machine. "We should add these to the menu," Zara decided, tasting Meg's caramel latte. "Maybe create a specialty coffee section." That afternoon, another surprise arrived. A famous food critic named Anthony Walsh walked in and asked for a table. Zara recognized him immediately from his photo in the local newspaper's dining section. "Mr. Walsh," she greeted him nervously, "we're honored to have you visit Sunrise Diner." "A good friend recommended I try this place," Walsh replied with a smile. "Said it was under new management and worth checking out." Zara's heart raced. "May I ask who recommended us?" Walsh's eyes twinkled. He preferred to remain anonymous. but he's someone whose opinion I respect. The critic ordered several items from the menu, taking small bites of each and making notes on his phone. Zara tried not to hover, but she couldn't help feeling anxious about his verdict. A week later, Walsh's review appeared in the Sunday paper. Meg rushed into the diner waving a copy. "You have to read this," she exclaimed, thrusting the paper at Zara. The headline read, "Sunrise Diner, a neighborhood gem reborn." The glowing review praised the perfectly executed comfort food, warm atmosphere, and attentive service. It specifically mentioned the innovative new manager who has breathed fresh life into this Chicago institution. The review brought in curious new customers, including basketball fans who began asking if Michael Jordan really ate there. Zara created a small Chicago Legends section on the menu, featuring dishes named after famous Chicagoans. The Jordan Jumper Breakfast Special, 2 eggs, bacon, and buttermilk pancakes with a slam dunk of maple syrup, quickly became a bestseller. Business increased steadily. Zara hired 2 new servers to handle the growing customer base. She also introduced a loyalty card program that rewarded regular customers with free desserts or coffee. 4 weeks into her role as manager, Zara decided to create a local heroes wall near the entrance. She gathered framed photos of community members who had made positive contributions: firefighters, teachers, activists, and, of course, sports figures, including Michael Jordan. The wall became a talking point for customers, who often suggested new additions. One morning, Diane stopped by for one of her occasional visits. She toured the diner, nodding approvingly at the changes. "The place looks wonderful," she told Zara as they sat in the office reviewing the books. "And these numbers are impressive. Profits are up 20% from last month, and customer complaints are down to almost 0. Zara smiled, pleased by the praise. "The staff deserves most of the credit. They've embraced all the changes." "But you're the one leading them," Diane pointed out. "You've accomplished more in a month than Vernon did in a year." "Thank you," Zara said. She hesitated, then added, "Can I ask you something? All these good things happening, the new equipment, the food critic, even my brother's scholarship, it seems like more than coincidence." Diane gave her a mysterious smile. "Sometimes kindness comes back to us in unexpected ways." "So you do know something," Zara pressed. "Was it really Michael Jordan who suggested you hire me?" Diane picked up her purse, ready to leave. Let's just say that influential people notice when someone treats them with genuine respect. Keep up the good work, Zara. With that cryptic response, Diane departed, leaving Zara with more questions than answers. Later that week, Zara was updating the specials board when she noticed a group of teenagers pressing their faces against the window, staring at something inside the diner. At first, she thought they were looking at the local hero's wall, but then she realized they were staring and pointing at a customer sitting in the corner booth. The man wore sunglasses and a baseball cap pulled low, but there was something familiar about his broad shoulders and the way he sat. Zara's heart skipped a beat. Could it be him? Back again? Before she could approach the table, Luis was already there, taking the man's order. Zara busied herself behind the counter, not wanting to stare. If it was Michael Jordan, he deserved his privacy, just like the first time. The mysterious customer finished his meal quickly and left through the back door that Zara had shown Michael Jordan on that fateful night weeks ago. She never got a clear look at his face. "That guy left this for you," Luis said, handing Zara a folded napkin. On it was written, "The changes look good. Keep making a difference." There was no signature. Zara carefully tucked the napkin into her pocket, a smile spreading across her face. Whether her mysterious benefactor was Michael Jordan or someone else entirely, it was becoming clear that her simple act of kindness that night had set off a chain of events that continued to unfold in wonderful, unexpected ways. The following week brought even more unexpected developments. A delivery truck arrived early Monday morning with 6 brand-new tables and 24 matching chairs, crafted from beautiful dark wood that made the diner's old furniture look shabby by comparison. "I didn't order these," Zara told the delivery person, experiencing déjà vu from the kitchen equipment situation. "Already paid for," replied the woman, holding out a tablet for Zara's signature. "Note says it's part of ongoing renovations." Meg helped Zara arrange the new furniture, moving the old pieces to the storage room. "This is getting weird," Meg commented. "Secret benefactors, mystery deliveries. It's like we're in a movie or something." "I know," Zara agreed. "I wish whoever is behind all this would just come forward." That afternoon, the mystery deepened further when a young man in a business suit entered the diner. He introduced himself as Jason Kim from the Chicago Tribune's business section. "I'm doing a feature on successful local businesses," he explained. "Someone suggested Sunrise Diner would make an interesting story." "Who suggested us?" Zara asked. Jason checked his TD notes. "The recommendation came through my editor. Said you've recently undergone impressive management changes." The article appeared 3 days later, featuring a photo of Zara standing proudly in front of the diner. The headline read, "Rising with the Sunrise, How New Leadership Transformed a Neighborhood Diner." The story detailed the diner's recent improvements and increased business, quoting several regular customers praising the changes. One particular section caught Zara's attention. Sources close to the situation suggest that basketball legend Michael Jordan was impressed by the establishment during a recent visit, potentially leading to the management shakeup that has revitalized this Chicago eatery. When Zara showed the article to Diane during her weekly check-in call, the owner chuckled. "The press loves a good celebrity angle." "But is it true?" Zara pressed. "Was Michael Jordan really involved in my promotion?" "Let's focus on the positive publicity," Diane replied, skillfully avoiding the question. "This article will bring in even more customers." She was right. The weekend following the article's publication was the busiest the diner had seen in years. Basketball fans began stopping by regularly, hoping to catch a glimpse of Michael Jordan. Tourists added the diner to their Chicago itineraries, taking photos with the Jordan jumper special mentioned in the article. Zara created a sign-in, book for visitors, and started a wall where customers could pin their photos and notes. The community feel of the diner grew stronger with each passing day. Then came the strangest development yet. A professional interior designer arrived one morning, claiming she had been hired to refresh the diner's look. "I'm supposed to meet with the manager to discuss color schemes and layout," she said, pulling out a portfolio of design concepts. "I'm the manager," Zara told her, "but I didn't hire an interior designer." The woman checked her notes. "My client hired me on your behalf. They asked to remain anonymous, but said you have final approval on all changes." Zara was speechless. Who would go to such lengths and expense to help the diner? The designer's portfolio showed tasteful updates that would preserve the diner's classic feel while modernizing its appearance. "These look wonderful," Zara admitted, "but I can't authorize this without knowing who's paying for it." The funds have already been placed in escrow, the designer explained. The work is fully paid. 4. You just need to approve the designs and schedule the renovation. After consulting with Diane, who seemed unsurprised by this latest development, Zara agreed to the redesign. The work would be done gradually, in sections, so the diner could remain open throughout the process. That evening, as Zara was catching up on paperwork, Raj called with excitement in his voice. "You'll never guess who visited our basketball practice today," he exclaimed. Zara's heart skipped a beat. "Who?" "Coach Thompson. He's one of the top trainers at Elite Basketball Academy. He came to specifically watch me play and give some pointers. He mentioned he knows someone who thinks I have potential." "That's amazing, Raj," Zara said, her mind racing with possibilities. "Did he mention who recommended you?" "No," Raj replied, "just that it was someone important in basketball circles." "Zara, do you think it could be Michael Jordan? The guy you helped at the diner?" "I don't know," Zara said honestly. "But something strange is definitely happening." After hanging up, Zara stood by the diner's front window, looking out at the street. The pieces of the puzzle were starting to come together, but the complete picture remained just out of reach. 6 weeks had passed since Zara became manager of Sunrise Diner. The morning routine now felt familiar, checking inventory, reviewing the day's specials with Hector, and greeting the early breakfast crowd with a warm smile. The interior designer had completed the first phase of renovations, giving the dining area a fresh, modern look while maintaining its classic diner charm. Zara had just finished arranging the new flower centerpieces on each table when the front door swung open with such force that the bell nearly flew off. Vernon stood in the doorway, his face red with anger. "Where's Diane?" he demanded, stomping toward Zara. "I need to speak with her immediately." Zara straightened her shoulders, willing her voice to remain steady. "Diane isn't here. I'm the manager now. Can I help you with something?" Vernon sneered. "You're not qualified to manage a lemonade stand. I want my job back, and I'm prepared to sue if necessary." Meg approached, looking concerned. "Everything okay, boss?" "It's fine," Zara assured her, though her heart was racing. Vernon was just leaving. "I'm not going anywhere," Vernon insisted, raising his voice. "This job was stolen from me based on lies. I know what really happened. You made up that story about serving Michael Jordan to get sympathy, then somehow convinced Diane to fire me." A few customers glanced over, disturbed by the commotion. Zara took a deep breath, then gestured toward her office. "Let's discuss this privately," she suggested. Vernon followed her, continuing his tirade once the door closed. "I've got 15 years of restaurant management experience. You've got what? A few weeks? This is ridiculous." "Vernon," Zara began calmly, "I understand you're upset." "Save it," he cut her off. "I've already contacted my lawyer. Wrongful termination is a serious matter. I'll take this all the way to court, if I have to." Before Zara could respond, there was a knock at the office door. Luis poked his head in, looking apologetic. "Sorry to interrupt," he said, "but there's a health inspector here for a surprise evaluation." Vernon's face twisted into a smug smile. "Perfect timing. Let's see how you handle this." Zara's stomach dropped. A health inspection now, with Vernon watching and hoping she'd fail? The timing couldn't be worse. The health inspector was a stern-looking woman named Mrs. Chen. She introduced herself briskly and began her evaluation, clipboard in hand. Zara followed her throughout the diner, answering questions and providing documentation as requested. Meanwhile, Vernon hovered nearby, pointing out potential issues. "You might want to check under that grill," he suggested to Mrs. Chen. "2. Never got cleaned properly when I was manager." To Zara's relief, the new grill had a removable tray that Hector cleaned daily. Mrs. Chen nodded approvingly at its spotless condition. For the next 2 hours, Mrs. Chen examined every corner of the diner, from the temperature of the refrigerators to the cleanliness of the restrooms. She seemed particularly impressed by the new organizational system Zara had implemented for storing food. "Most diners I inspect don't label their shelves with expiration dates," Mrs. Chen commented. "That's a nice touch." Vernon grew increasingly agitated as the inspection continued without revealing any major issues. Finally, Mrs. Chen completed her evaluation and turned to Zara. "Congratulations," she said, handing over the inspection report. "Sunrise Diner receives an A rating. Perfect score. I'll be noting your excellent food storage practices in my report as a model for other establishments." Zara couldn't hide her smile. "Thank you, Mrs. Chen." After the health inspector left, Vernon stood in the middle of the diner, looking deflated. "This isn't over," he warned, but his voice lacked its earlier conviction. "Actually, it is," came a voice from the doorway. Diane had arrived, elegant as always in her tailored blazer. "Diane," Vernon sputtered, "I've been trying to reach you. We need to discuss my unfair termination." "There's nothing to discuss," Diane replied firmly. "You were let go for cause. After multiple staff complaints about your management style, Zara is the manager now, and as you can see..." She gestured to the perfect health inspection report in Zara's hand. "She's doing an excellent job." Vernon's face darkened. "This is about that Michael Jordan story, isn't it? You believe her over me?" "This is about results," Diane said simply. "Under Zara's management, profits are up, customer satisfaction is up, and staff turnover is down. I suggest you move on, Vernon." For a moment, it looked like Vernon might argue further. Then, his shoulders sagged in defeat. Without another word, he turned and left the diner. "Thank you," Zara said to Diane once he was gone. "Your timing was perfect." Diane smiled. "I got a call from Mrs. Chen this morning. She mentioned she'd be inspecting Sunrise today and thought I might want to be present. She's an old friend." "Another coincidence?" Zara asked, raising an eyebrow. "Life is full of them," Diane replied with that now familiar mysterious smile. After closing that evening, when the last customer had left and the staff had gone home, Zara found herself alone in the diner. The day's tension finally caught up with her, and tears filled her eyes. She sank into a booth, overwhelmed by a mixture of relief, pride, and lingering stress. She'd faced down Vernon and passed a surprise health inspection with flying colors. The renovations were proceeding smoothly, and business was better than ever. By any measure, she was succeeding as manager. Yet, doubts still nagged at her. Had she truly earned this position, or was it handed to her because of Michael Jordan's influence? Would she have received these opportunities without that chance encounter? And why would someone so famous and important go to such lengths? To help a waitress who had simply shown him a basic kindness? As Zara wiped away her tears, she made a decision. She needed answers, real ones, not the cryptic hints Diane kept offering. Somehow, she would uncover the truth behind these mysterious events, even if it meant confronting Michael Jordan himself. What Zara couldn't know was that answers were already on their way, and they would exceed her wildest expectations. A week after the confrontation with Vernon, Zara was reviewing the diner's finances when she noticed something remarkable. Despite all the renovations and new equipment, their operating costs hadn't increased significantly. In fact, with the boost in customers, they were making more profit than ever before. This gave Zara an idea. She remembered her own family's struggles after her parents died, how a few free meals from kind neighbors had made a difference during those difficult times. What if the diner could give back to the community in a similar way? The next morning, she presented her idea at the staff meeting. "I'd like to start a community table program," she explained. "One night a week, we'll offer free meals to families going through hard times." "Who would qualify?" Luis asked practically. "Anyone who needs it," Zara replied. "No questions asked. We'd set aside Wednesdays from 5–7 p.m. We're usually slower. Then, anyway." "Won't people take advantage?" Trina wondered. Zara shrugged. "Maybe some will, but I believe most people only ask for help when they truly need it." The staff discussed logistics, how much food to prepare, whether to offer a limited menu, how to spread the word. By the end of the meeting, everyone had agreed to donate 1 hour of their weekly pay to help fund the program. "I'll match whatever the staff contributes," Zara promised, touched by their generosity. She called Diane to get approval, explaining that they could afford it with their increased profits. "I think it's an excellent idea," Diane said warmly. "In fact, I'd like to contribute personally. The diner should be more than just a business. It should be a cornerstone of the community." The first community table night exceeded all expectations. Word had spread quickly through local churches and schools. 15 families came for dinner. Some elderly people on fixed incomes, single parents with children, and a couple of college students clearly stretching their budget. Zara made sure every guest was treated with the same respect and care as paying customers. The regular menu was available, and there was no separate section for community table diners. The only difference was that no checks were presented at the end of the meal. A woman with 2 young children approached Zara as they were leaving. "Thank you," she said. Quietly, "I lost my job last month and it's been hard. The kids have been asking to eat out, but—" She gestured helplessly. "You're very welcome," Zara replied with a smile. "We hope to see you again, when things get better, too." By the 3rd week, Community Table had become the talk of the neighborhood. A local bakery offered to donate bread. A nearby grocery store provided fresh produce. Individual community members began making small donations to support the program. The Chicago Tribune ran a follow-up story, focusing on how the diner was giving back to the community that supported it. The article included quotes from grateful participants and photos of families enjoying their meals. Unexpectedly, the publicity brought in even more regular customers, people who wanted to support a business that cared about its community. Zara had to adjust the staff schedule to handle the increased business. One evening, a well-dressed man in his 60s came in with his wife. After their meal, he asked to speak with the manager. "I've been watching what you're doing here," he told Zara when she approached their table. "My company would like to sponsor your community table program." The man turned out to be the CEO of a local insurance firm. He offered a monthly donation that would cover the entire cost of the program, allowing it to expand to 2 nights a tea week. "Why would you do this?" Zara asked, overwhelmed by his generosity. "Years ago, when I was starting out, my family went through a rough patch," he explained. "A local restaurant owner fed us for free until I got back on my feet. I never forgot that kindness." Zara thought about the ripple effect of simple acts of compassion. How one person's kindness could inspire others, creating a chain reaction that spread outward in ways no one could predict. Was that what had happened with Michael Jordan? Had her small gesture of protecting his privacy resonated with him somehow? In late June, Raj left for the elite basketball academy. The day before his departure, he visited the diner to say goodbye to the staff, who had become like a second family to him. "I'm nervous," he confessed to Zara as they sat in her office. "What if I'm not good enough? These kids will be the best from all over the country." "You belong there," Zara assured him. "Someone important saw potential in you, enough to sponsor your scholarship." "I still can't believe that might be Michael." "Jordan," Raj said, shaking his head in wonder. "Just focus on learning as much as you can," Zara advised. "And remember to call me every few days, or I'll worry." With Raj away, Zara threw herself even more fully into the diner. The interior renovations were completed, giving Sunrise Diner a fresh, inviting appearance while maintaining its classic charm. The expanded menu featured both traditional diner fare and healthier options, attracting a wider range of customers. The community table program continued to thrive. Families who had participated when they were struggling often returned as paying customers after their situations improved. Some even volunteered to help serve on community table nights, wanting to give back. 3 weeks into Raj's camp, he called, Zara bubbling with excitement. "The coolest thing happened today," he told her. "We had a surprise guest coach, one of the best trainers in the country. He's worked with tons of NBA players." "That's amazing," Zara replied. "How did it go?" "He pulled me aside after the session," Raj continued. "Said someone had asked him to keep an eye on me specifically. Zara, he told me I have natural talent and gave me his card. Said to call him after camp if I want additional training." "Raj, that's wonderful." "There's more," her brother added. "He mentioned that he knows all about you and the diner. Said his friend was impressed by what you've done with the place." Zara felt a chill run down her spine. Did he say who this friend was? "No, but—" Raj hesitated. "One of the other kids overheard and said the trainer mostly works with Chicago Bulls players." After hanging up, Zara sat at her desk, more convinced than ever that Michael Jordan was behind the extraordinary changes in her life. But why go to such lengths for a waitress who had simply shown him a common courtesy? The answer to that question would come sooner than she expected, and in a way that would transform not just her future, but the future of Sunrise Diner itself. 3 months had passed since Zara's promotion to manager. The diner had undergone a remarkable transformation, from the updated interior and menu to the thriving community table program. Even the staff seemed different, working together with a sense of pride and purpose that had been missing under Vernon's management. One morning in late July, Diane called with exciting news. "I've been looking through the records," she said, "and I realized that Sunrise Diner is approaching its 30th anniversary next week. We should celebrate." "That's a great idea," Zara agreed. "We could have a special menu, maybe some decorations." "I'm thinking something bigger," Diane interrupted. "A proper celebration with the whole community. The diner has been a neighborhood fixture for 3 decades. That deserves recognition." Over the next few days, Zara and the staff planned an anniversary event. They created flyers inviting current and former customers, decorated the diner with photos showing its evolution over 30 years, and prepared a special menu featuring popular items from different eras of the diner's history. Meg discovered old employee records and tracked down several former waitresses and cooks, including the original chef who had retired 10 years earlier. Luis, who had artistic talent no one knew about, created a beautiful hand-painted banner for the front window. The day before the celebration, Diane arrived with an announcement. "I have some exciting news to share tomorrow," she told Zara mysteriously. "It involves the future of Sunrise Diner, and yours too." "What do you mean?" Zara asked, intrigued. "You'll find out tomorrow," Diane replied with a wink. "Just make sure everything's perfect for the celebration." The anniversary celebration exceeded all expectations. By noon, the diner was packed with customers old and new. Former employees shared stories of their time at Sunrise. Regular customers reminisced about first dates, family breakfasts, and other significant moments they'd experienced at the diner over the years. Hector had outdone himself with the special menu, and Zara made sure every guest felt welcomed and appreciated. Even the local news station sent a reporter to cover the event. Mid-afternoon, Diane clinked a spoon against her water glass to get everyone's attention. "Thank you all for coming to celebrate 30 wonderful years of Sunrise Diner," she began. "When my late husband and I opened this place in 1994, we wanted to create more than just a restaurant. We wanted a community gathering spot where everyone would feel welcome." She gestured around the packed diner. "Looking at all of you today, I can say we achieved that dream. And now, I'm excited to announce the next chapter for Sunrise." The room fell silent as everyone waited for her news. "I've decided to expand," Diane announced. "Next month, we'll begin work on a second Sunrise Diner location across town." Murmurs of surprise and excitement rippled through the crowd. "Furthermore," Diane continued, "I've asked Zara Patel to oversee both locations as our new director of operations." All eyes turned to Zara, who stood frozen in shock. This was the first she'd heard of either the expansion or her promotion. "In just 3 months," Diane went on, "Zara has transformed this diner with her innovative ideas and genuine care for both customers and staff. I can think of no one better to lead Sunrise Diner into its next 30 years." The crowd erupted in applause. Meg hugged Zara tightly, while Hector gave her a thumbs up. From the kitchen doorway, even Luis was smiling broadly. "Speech!" someone called, and others joined in the chant. Still dazed, Zara found herself standing beside Diane at the center of the diner. "I don't know what to say," she began honestly. 3 months ago, I was a waitress here. Today," she shook her head in wonder, "I'm grateful to Diane for this incredible opportunity, and to all of you, our amazing staff and loyal customers who make Sunrise Diner special." She looked around at the familiar faces. "This diner has become my second home, and all of you feel like family. I promise to do my best to preserve what makes Sunrise special, while helping it grow." The celebration continued into the evening. As the crowd finally began to thin, a delivery arrived, an enormous gift basket wrapped in cellophane and tied with a red ribbon. "Special delivery for Zara Patel," the courier announced. Curious, Zara accepted the heavy basket. Inside were various basketball-themed items, a signed Chicago Bulls jersey, a basketball, books about the sport's history, and even tickets to an upcoming game. The card simply read, "To new beginnings. Keep making a difference." There was no signature. "Secret admirer?" Meg teased, peering at the contents. Zara shook her head, unable to speak past the lump in her throat. The message was clear, even without a name. After months of wondering, this felt like confirmation of Michael Jordan's involvement in her unexpected journey. Later that evening, after the guests had gone and the staff had cleaned up, Zara and Diane shared a quiet moment in the IBU office. "Did you know about the gift basket?" Zara asked directly. Diane smiled. "I may have been informed something would be arriving." "It's really him, isn't it? Michael Jordan has been behind all of this," Zara said. "It wasn't really a question anymore." "I'm not at liberty to say," Diane replied, but her eyes twinkled. "But why?" Zara pressed. "Why would he do all this just because I gave him some privacy during dinner one night? Perhaps that simple act of kindness meant more to him than you realize," Diane suggested. "Sometimes the smallest gestures have the most profound impact." As Zara locked up the diner that night, she found herself wondering if she would ever get the full story. The mystery had deepened with each passing month, and while the gift basket seemed to confirm her suspicions, it still didn't explain the extent of Michael Jordan's involvement. Little did she know that in just 1 week, all her questions would be answered when the man himself would walk through the doors of Sunrise Diner once again. The morning started like any other. Zara arrived early to go through invoices and prepare for the day. Since the anniversary celebration, business had been better than ever. Plans for the second location were moving forward, with Zara reviewing potential sites with Diane. Raj had returned from basketball camp with newfound confidence and impressive skills. The trainer had arranged for him to participate in upcoming showcase events, where college scouts would be present. His dream of earning a full athletic scholarship suddenly seemed within reach. As Zara refilled the sugar dispensers, she noticed a sleek black car pull up outside the diner. It was barely 7 a.m., and they weren't officially open yet, but something made her unlock the door anyway. A tall man in sunglasses stepped out of the car, followed by a woman Zara recognized immediately as Diane. They walked toward the diner, and as they came closer, the man removed his sunglasses. Zara's heart skipped a beat. There was no mistaking that face. It was Michael Jordan. "Good morning, Zara," Diane greeted warmly. "I hope you don't mind us stopping by before opening." "Of course not," Zara managed to say, holding the door open. Her hands trembled slightly as Michael Jordan himself walked past her into the diner. "It looks even better than last time," he commented, glancing around at the renovated space. "Thank you," Zara replied, finding her voice. "Would you like some coffee?" "That would be great," he said with that famous smile. "Black, please." Zara moved behind the counter, grateful for the familiar task to steady her nerves. Michael and Diane sat at the counter, talking quietly as she prepared the coffee. "Please join us," Michael invited as she set the cups down. "We have some things to discuss." Zara took a seat, her mind racing with questions. After months of mystery and speculation, here he was, the man she believed had transformed her life, with a single phone call. "First," Michael began, "I want to thank you properly for that night back in April. It might seem small to you, but having someone treat me like a normal person who just wants to eat in peace, that doesn't happen often in my life." "It was nothing," Zara said modestly, "just common courtesy." "But that's exactly it," Michael leaned forward. "Common courtesy isn't common anymore. When I heard you got fired for helping me, I was upset, really upset." "So you did call Diane?" Zara asked, finally getting confirmation. Michael nodded. "Diane and I go way back. Her husband was one of my financial advisors when I first joined the Bulls. When I told her what happened, she was already unhappy with Vernon's management style. It just gave her the push she needed to make a change. And you suggested me as the replacement? Zara could hardly believe it. I told her you showed good judgment and genuine kindness, Michael confirmed. The kind of qualities you want in someone running a business. But everything that's happened since, that's all been you, Zara. What about the new equipment? The food critic? My brother's scholarship? Zara asked. Michael smiled. I may have made a few calls. Elite Basketball Academy runs a program for promising players who can't afford tuition. When you mentioned your brother that night, I thought he might qualify. And the second location? Zara asked, turning to Diane. That was my idea, Diane replied, but it was inspired by your success here, which brings us to why we're here today. Michael reached into his jacket and pulled out a folder. After seeing what you've accomplished, with Sunrise Diner, Diane and I started talking about a larger opportunity. He slid the folder toward Zara. Inside was a business proposal titled Sunrise Community Diners, a new restaurant concept. We want to create a chain of community-focused diners, Diane explained, places that serve good food at reasonable prices and give back to their neighborhoods through programs like your community table. And we want you to run it, Michael added, as the operations director for the entire brand. Zara stared at them, speechless. But why me? Because you understand that a restaurant can be more than just a business, Michael said, simply. It can be a place that brings people together and makes a difference in their lives. I've been in the restaurant industry for 30 years, Diane added, and I've never seen anyone transform a place the way you have in just 3 months. But I don't have the experience or education for something this big, Zara protested. You have something more valuable, Michael countered, natural leadership ability and a genuine connection with people. The rest can be learned. He explained the details of their proposal. They would start with 5 locations across Chicago, with plans to expand to other cities if successful. Michael T. Doherty would be the primary investor, with Diane providing industry expertise. Zara would oversee day-to-day operations and help develop the brand's community outreach programs. We'd like Raj to be involved too, if he's interested, Michael added, maybe in marketing or community relations during his college breaks. Zara's eyes filled with tears. I don't know what to say. Say yes, Diane encouraged. You've already proven you can do this. All of this, Zara gestured around the diner, happened because I showed you basic human kindness? Michael's expression turned serious. Throughout my career, I've been treated like a commodity, a brand, a legend, rarely just as a person. What you did that night reminded me of something important. That simple kindness matters. It can change lives. He continued, I've been blessed with success and resources, using some of that to help. Someone who showed me genuine kindness, that feels right to me. Zara looked from Michael to Diane and back again. The opportunity before her was beyond anything she could have imagined 3 months ago when Vernon had fired her. From waitress to operations director of a restaurant chain backed by Michael Jordan. All because she'd treated a customer with dignity. Yes, she said, her voice strong and clear despite her tears. I would be honored to accept. As they shook, hands sealing their new partnership, Zara thought about the chain of events that had led to this moment. One small act of kindness had returned to her multiplied beyond measure, changing not just her life, but the lives of her brother, the diner staff, and countless members of the community. Sometimes the smallest actions have the greatest impact. For Zara Patel, closing a blind and offering a quiet meal to a famous customer had opened doors she never knew existed. And this was just the beginning. Thank you for watching The Unexpected Manager. Where are you tuning in from today? Drop your location in the comments below. I'd love to know how far this story of kindness has traveled. If this tale of how one small act changed Zara's life touched your heart, please hit that like button and subscribe to our channel. Every subscription helps us spread more stories about the power of kindness in an often unkind world. Want another heartwarming story right now? Click on the video appearing on your screen to discover how a forgotten promise led to an incredible reunion 20 years later. Remember, small actions can change lives in big ways.